Hey, good Thursday afternoon, everyone. I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick back here on Facebook with Weather Classroom. And this will actually be our last Weather Classroom of the month, with next Thursday, of course, being Thanksgiving. But with winter right around the corner, there is new data, new information, new forecasts about the winter weather ahead. This is actually a really exciting one. In fact, this Weather Classroom is basically the preview to Chief Meteorologist Tom Sherry's winter weather forecast that's going to be on Krem News at 6 o'clock later on tonight. So I'm excited to kind of be the opening act for that. And of course, right here on Weather Classroom, we've mentioned a lot about the Farmer's Almanac forecast and then where we stand with La Nina. Well, I'm actually just kind of rehashing a lot of that. Latest La Nina data, latest La Nina forecast, and what that leans to this upcoming winter weather season. But for the actual forecast, the actual snowfall totals, I leave that to my chief. So you'll have to check that out later on tonight at Krem 2 News at 6. But this will be basically the setup to all that information. And if you love to see the science and analytical analysis, you're in the right spot for that, because I'm going to take a deep dive into a lot of data. You're going to see a lot of what I see behind the scenes, a lot of the numbers and graphs that I look at that leads into carving this kind of forecast for our area. So we'll look at all that information. And of course, if you're new to Weather Classroom here on Facebook, please make sure to hit like on this video or on my page. Again, I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick. Love to see you here live and answer your questions live on Facebook. And of course, this video gets uploaded to YouTube later on, so you can watch it on replay. Okay, so this is basically another La Nina Weather Classroom, so to speak here. So let's just take a look at what it is and just kind of re-explain in case you might be unfamiliar, because it's a term that gets thrown around come wintertime. La Nina and El Nino. Let's go with a quick recap before we go into what that actually means for the North American continent. So what I have here is just a globe, and I look at the water temperatures in the Pacific Ocean, particularly around the equator. Blue is below normal temperatures and orange is above normal temperatures. So I try to color coordinate that appropriately. And I look at this very specific section right around the equator. This is a very specific El Nino zone. It's called El Nino 3.4, and that's the zone that has the biggest correlation with how the jet stream reacts to the water temperatures either being colder or warmer than average. As of October, they were 1.3 degrees Celsius below average, and some of the new data that I was looking at from this morning is showing that November is actually closer to 1.5 degrees Celsius below average, which is about 3 degrees Fahrenheit or so. And while that doesn't sound like much, I mean, us on any given day in Spokane, if the temperature varies by 3 degrees, we're like, well, that's not that much. But this is a huge section of ocean, and water contains more heat than the air does. So that 1 or 2 degrees or 1.5 degrees Celsius difference makes a big difference, especially when you're talking about a section of the globe that is as large as this. And it is basically all along the equator. Essentially what happens here, and I'll try to illustrate this on the map, is that the colder waters out towards South America, if I spin it back here, what happens is the trade winds, they run from east to west across the equator. And what happens is when these east to west winds get stronger, right here we get what's called an upwelling of some colder waters off the coast of South America. And then that affects the surface waters and makes them colder. And then the trade winds get stronger, and it blows those colder waters basically all along the equator into the Pacific Ocean. And that's the La Nina. And El Nino is actually the opposite. The upwelling kind of shuts off, the trade winds get weaker, and then the temperatures get warmer as a result. So think of it like gears, and when one gear spins, all the others react. And that's just the El Nino and La Nina oscillation. Then we start pulling in the jet streams and everything beyond that. So the jet stream impact across North America during the wintertime basically breaks down like this, where we get a colder and wetter or snowier weather pattern, especially for the Pacific Northwest. Obviously, that's going to mean slightly different things for Spokane versus Seattle. So Seattle might get snow, but they'll probably be playing more towards the wetter aspect. But here we're probably playing towards the snowier aspect, as we do get plenty of snow in the wintertime. So that's kind of the general breakdown. And I promised that I would go more into like the graphs and the, the analytical things. So let's see if I can pull this on the screen here. Ah, beautiful. So a lot of data I get is from the Climate Prediction Center, which is a branch of NOAA. And I wanted to start with, I kind of showed you that map of the globe earlier. Well, this is, again, same information, but it's on a loop from, looks like the beginning of October to actually just this last week. And yeah, these water temperatures, the anomaly is quite strong, 1 to 1.5 degrees below average, right along the equator. You can kind of see the upwelling and how the water kind of sloshes from east to west across the Pacific Ocean. So really cool stuff there. And it looks like we're kind of in the peak of the La Nina phase right now. I'd pull you to this graph. I mentioned this middle one, the 3.4 is the one I look at. Look what happened. This is the last year. These are the water temperature anomalies, or the delta over the last year. And we actually started about this point last year, kind of going into a weak El Nino phase. And then right in the summer, it switched over into that colder than average phase. And it's just been getting stronger and stronger and stronger as we've gone from August, when we first noticed, I think La Nina is kind of looking likely for this winter. And we just kept getting colder and colder for those temperatures. And yeah, actually it looked like the very end of October, very strong. This little dip right here, almost 1.8 degrees Celsius below average. That is incredibly strong. Even 1.5 is considered a strong La Nina, and we are heading in that direction. Let's see if I have... Okay, yeah, here are the percentages. And essentially, we're starting from the left bar here. This is where we're kind of at October, November, December. 100% chance for La Nina. Kind of figured that, especially with the waters this cold. How likely is it to continue? Well, we go through the month of March, and we're still at like 95%. So we are a shoo-in for La Nina to continue all the way through the winter and probably through the spring as well, which will have impacts for severe weather, especially in the eastern U.S. So that'll be a discussion for a couple months from now, but that's kind of where we're trending before things kind of go back to normal in the summertime. And all of this basically has one more act to it, and it's the actual forecast. And actually today, this morning, we got an update from the Climate Prediction Center of how the months of December, January, and February are going to be for the U.S. And this actually resembles a lot of that typical La Nina pattern, where where we see below average temperatures across the Pacific Northwest and the northern plains. Actually going to be warmer in the Northeast, which is a bit of a deviation or something different from what is typical. And then when you look at the precipitation side, it is, Pacific Northwest, northern plains, Great Lakes area all get wetter than average conditions, which oftentimes correlates to snowier than average. So that's kind of the latest update in the information that I was just looking at from this morning. And yeah, you can see that map basically correlates to what I have just on my typical La Nina graphic here. Again, another way to plot that. The model's average heading into the winter time is going to be strengthened. This dark blue line is where we see strong La Nina conditions. And yeah, we are very much heading in that direction. I love this map because it kind of looks like our tropical maps, with the cone of uncertainty of the path of tropical storms and hurricanes with that dark line right down the middle. That's kind of what you're looking at here, is like that cone of uncertainty, but it's so far deep into the La Nina pattern that it is a shoo-in for this upcoming winter. So all that, again, just correlates to us getting mostly snowier than average conditions. Not all the time, though. It's not so while we're 100% guaranteed to see La Nina, we're not necessarily 100% guaranteed to get a snowier than average season. We have to play the percentages here, and I was actually just going over which La Ninas were strong or moderate or weak, and I've shown this map before once or twice, and I know that everybody's eyes kind of point out to the 2007, 2008, and then 2008, 2009 winter seasons. Both we had 90 plus inches of snow, which is the third and snowiest all time, respectively. But interestingly enough, and I have it kind of on my information here, it was the 2007, 2008 season that had the stronger La Nina phase. And it was 2008, 2009 that had the weaker La Nina phase. In fact, it was kind of ending. So there's not necessarily a correlation between how strong La Nina is and how much snow we get. It's just basically, do we have La Nina or do we not have La Nina? And then it's a wild card from there. So I thought that was very interesting when I was looking at the data earlier today, is that the stronger La Nina was the 2007-2008, but we got, of course, even more snow in that weaker La Nina phase of 2008 and 2009. And of here, I have highlighted 6 of those 9 years. It's those 6 that were snowier than average, of all 9 which were La Nina winters. So it's not a guarantee that we get snowier than average winters. It's just much more favorable that we do. So that basically kind of concludes what is the preview to Tom Sherry's winter forecast later on today. We have a strong La Nina heading our way this winter. La Ninas usually mean, not always, but usually mean colder and snowier winters for us. But you're going to have to tune in at Creme 2 News at 6 o'clock tonight, Thursday night at 6 o'clock. He will have the official how much snow prediction that we're going to be getting for this upcoming winter, something that you're only going to see on our newscast tonight at 6 o'clock. I'm very excited. I kind of opened the folder, took a little peek at some of the numbers that he had. And yes, it correlates a lot to the data that I just presented here. So this is kind of all the research and all the information that went into crafting and forecasting what is going to be happening for the next 3 to 4 months in our region. So I very much encourage everybody to be tuning in at Creme 2 News at 6 o'clock. Tom Sherry has a brilliant forecast. We go all out with our graphical tools and behind the scenes production as well to be able to deliver his forecast. So yeah, all the heavy lifting meteorologically speaking, we've done that already. So all you have to do is tune in later tonight at 6 o'clock. But otherwise, that'll do it for me on this weather in this edition of Weather Classroom. Hopefully you found all this information very interesting and insightful. I love digging deep into the information and being able to present it to you. We're off next Thursday because it is Thanksgiving, so do enjoy the holidays and of course be safe out there. But until then, we'll see you later on tonight at the news o'clock on the news at 6 o'clock. And of course, I've got just your daily forecast at 10 and 11 later tonight as well. That'll do it for me. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning into Weather Classroom, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for a new topic. Again, thanks everybody. Don't forget to hit the like button as well. Take care. We'll see you later.